What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the J&R Podcast, the only podcast on CMU's campus where we get inside information from a CMU athlete every single week. This week, I have a very special episode for you as I interview one of the CMU soccer team's very own, Raymond Jackson. He was with me here today to discuss what it was like being a soccer player at CMU, when he got started with soccer, and how much he loves the game, and what he would change, and what he would and what he would keep the same had he transferred or went to another college or something of that nature. And it was a lot of fun. I got a lot of information out of him. It was a really good interview. And without further ado, here's the interview.
I thought of a few questions. I'm just trying to think of a few more.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'm just gonna have it going.
Sweet. The first one I had was just, when did you start playing soccer? Tell me about that a little bit.
So I started playing soccer when I was 5 years old. I started because my sister originally got into the sport. I was more of the soccer and basketball type of guy. So after watching my sister play, I was like, you know what? I want to, give this maybe a little shot or give it a try. Then after I played it, fell in love with it, and then started playing competitively since I was 8. Used to play up a lot, so 8 playing against 12-year-olds just to try and get as better as we could. Then at one point, I played football again, and I tried to do football and soccer at the same time, but of course they're during the same season, so it wasn't really the smartest thing to do. So I kind of had to make a decision on which one I loved the most, which I say I loved playing soccer more, but I love watching football more. So I'm one of those type of dudes to where you can ask soccer questions too, but if it's not about the most relevant guys, I probably will not know about it.
Gotcha. All right, then. As far as why you decided to come here, did you receive offers or from other places, or why did you choose CMU?
I did. That's kind of interesting because I know, at least for me in high school, I didn't take grades extremely serious.
Yeah.
I was to me, my young self, I was more there just to play soccer, and then the grades would come after, which I got offers from DU, Georgia Southern. I got some from Clemson and Virginia.
Wow.
Except then the academic side of things wasn't there for me to be able to go to those schools. So they said maybe in the future, and I've never entered the transfer portal to be able to transfer to another school. So I was never able to really see if that opportunity was still on the window. I guess I could now if I wanted to, but I don't think I will. And there were a couple other teams in the RMAC that tried to reach out, Metro, but I wasn't really the biggest fan of their campus. What else? Fort Lewis, I wasn't really a fan of Durango. There's not really much to do there. And then Mesa, I never actually came on an official visit here, but I came to practice with the team once and drove around a little bit with my family and kind of fell in love with the scenery of it all. And was just you know what, why not? And then I practiced that day, got my scholarship, and then that was it. And that was towards the very end of the year to where I had to make a decision on where I was going. So if it wasn't there, then I would probably be at Metro.
Perfect. All right, so you're a junior or are you senior?
So technically, academically, I'm a senior.
Okay.
And then athletically, I'm technically a junior. Because the whole COVID thing messed up one of our seasons to where we played in the spring, and then the NCAA decided to give all fall athletes an extra season if they wanted it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna do and take that next year, and then just have one class to take in the fall. And really a fan of Durango. There's not really much to do there. And then Mesa, I never actually came on a official visit here, but I came to practice with the team once and drove around a little bit with my family and kind of fell in love with the scenery of it all and was just like, you know what, why not? And then I practiced that day, got my scholarship, and then that was it. And that was towards like the very end of the year to where I had to make a decision on where I was going. So if it wasn't there, then I would probably be at Metro.
Perfect. All right, so you're a junior or are you senior?
So technically, academically, I'm a senior.
Okay.
And then athletically, I'm technically a junior. Because the whole COVID thing messed up one of our seasons to where we played in the spring, and then the NCAA decided to give all fall athletes an extra season if they wanted it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna do and take that next year, and then just have like one class to take in the fall and let that be it.
Nice. So tell me how, I know you were injured this year, tell me how that impacted your soccer career.
I think it impacted a lot, because for me, I still ended up getting honorable mention through the conference, but I think if I would have played every game, I think I could have gotten more than that and been able to help my team win more games. Because the games that I missed, I think I missed 6 or 7 total, and we either lost or tied all but one that I was out on. So even just from an individual standpoint, it stopped me from really leveling up the way I was this year and trying to become more of like an offensive threat more than just defense. And then team aspect, I wasn't able to really help my team as much as I really would have wished, which was, I think, the most frustrating part of it all, because I would get like text messages from people saying, oh, just if you would have played in this, we could have done this, or you guys would have won this if you played. And like, yeah, you love to hear that because it shows how much of an impact you make, but it also sucks because there's nothing I could have done about it. And this was actually what most people don't know. I think this was the worst season that the men's soccer program's ever had in Mesa history.
What was the record, final record?
The final record was 9-7-1, I believe.
Gotcha.
It was the first time in like 10 years that we haven't made the RMAC tournament at all.
Still positive, but
Yeah.
still, man, that's crazy to think about. All right, that was a bit of a depressing question, I think you could say.
Nah.
Shift.
Gotta
shift
answer
light.
those. Gotta answer those.
Yeah, that's right. Gotta get different perspectives. But shift the lights a little bit. What do you think your best moment as a soccer player would be? Could be from any level.
My best moment probably was in high school. My senior year, we made it to the state final. We lost, but to be able to play at the Rapid Stadium in Commerce City and to kind of really get to visualize like, okay, I want to play here whenever I'm done in college. So it really, playing there has opened my eyes. Close second, I would definitely say winning an RMAC. That was probably the craziest day, night, and weekend of my life. And especially having this last fall left, I just want to hopefully be able to relive that moment again and get further. Like, we're fine, we've been in this position before. And then just how do we bounce back, and lo and behold, got our first one to end the half, and then one literally right after halftime, and then this third one late to really secure it.
So I just have one more, I think. So what do you love most about being on the CMU soccer team? Like, what do you love most about it? I know you still have one more year left, you said. Like, thus far, what's been the thing that you just can't go without being on the soccer team?
I'd probably say there's two things. One is more of like a serious one, and I'd probably say like just being around a team, I guess, and a we don't really consider ourselves a team. Like, we're family. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I love about it is how close we are. Unfortunately, this year we kind of separated and got into our groups and cliques a little more. So hopefully in the future we can, just bring everybody together again. But yeah, just the connections that I make with some teammates, but I guess that's also like a downside because like building connection with your seniors, and then when it's senior day and they leave and you're just like, wow, I'll never be able to see that person ever again, most likely, is kind of what hurts the most. But it's also, like I said, just being able to connect with guys. And then also it's just the traveling. I think like we went to South Dakota. I probably would have never went to South Dakota before if it wasn't for soccer. Getting hotels paid for, getting food for free, and I can honestly say, at least here at Mesa, they make athletes feel like they're celebrities. With how we're treated, and like if you make it to the NCAA tournament, you get to stay in just these fancy hotels, and you're just like, what is this? And then you're like, all right, so if this is this, then what will it be like when I go professional? So you're like, those two are what I would say are the biggest aspects and biggest takeaways from playing on the CMU team.
Sweet. And actually, I do have one more follow-up question. So
Yeah.
You said the team's starting to break up into cliques and groups a little more. Do you think, or what do you think you could do to like solve that issue, to bring you guys closer together again, so you could play as a team when it comes to the big moments?
To solve. Honestly, I have no clue. My coach and I, we've kind of sat down to try and figure that out as much as we can. Because we, out of nowhere, like we went from last year to winning the RMAC to this year not even making it, to like you kind of just have questions as to why things happened the way they did.
Yeah.
But I think the most we could do is probably do more team bonding activities as much as we can. And I think, at least for my team, unless you say that something's mandatory, most likely not everyone's going to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with any team, or even just students in general. If their professor says like attendance is a mandatory, then they're probably not going to go. Speaking with this class that we're doing this for, the attendance isn't technically mandatory, so
Yeah.
I caught myself not really going as much. So I think trying to make team events as mandatory as we can, and doing things off the soccer field can really build us together, and then that way whenever we do have practices and stuff like that, we can be flying and kind of know each other more.
Thank you guys for once again tuning into the J&R Podcast, the only podcast where I get inside information from every single CMU athlete. Next week, tune in for a very special interview with Osvaldo Torres of the CMU football team. Once again, thank you for listening.